Hi, my name is Kent Hehr, Member of Parliament, Calgary Centre. I'm here with my father, Richard, and we've been discussing a lot this week the tragedy in Humboldt, its effect on kids, the community, and parents, and the dramatic effect this is going to take on people all throughout the country. And my dad, I was watching him speak yesterday, and I thought he had addressed some topics. So, Dad, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, Kent. As you're aware, I'm president of the Canadian Club, and we had a luncheon yesterday, and we have a thing that is called the reflection. And in reflecting on behalf of the club, I refer to the fact that when we think about Canada, there is very little that is more Canadian than hockey. And I mentioned that in many ways, Canada is one large arena of dreams. And these dreams infect and impact children and adults. Okay, and we live the dream and we attempt to make the dream real in very, very many ways. You know, hockey, I'm a hockey guy, and
Well,
you know that.
You grew up in Medicine Hat.
I grew up in Medicine Hat, and most of my fond memories as a youth are time spent at various rinks on the flats of Medicine Hat, Lions Park, Point Auto, Montreal Street School. Many things that aren't there anymore, but are memories and vivid in my mind. And so, hey, Kent, I was lucky. You know, I was a very poor hockey player. You weren't too bad.
Well,
and so I lived through you a little bit.
It also reminds us sort of the time we spent at the community rink in Varsity when we had moved to Calgary in 1977. There was the community rink outside, and I'm certain that many of those kids who played for the Humboldt Broncos and that started off their youth much like you and I did, playing hockey.
Exactly, son. And of course, when you're doing that, occasionally the thought of the dream, okay, playing in the bigs, playing center ice for the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Calgary Flames, more so when you were growing up. But that dream's there, and of course, it's a fleeting dream because reality impacts 99.9% of us very, very quickly. And yet, you know, the dream never really dies. You know, I'm watching Marshall and Jackson and Parker, and the thought crosses my mind from time to time. And so you're right, it's part of the Canadian fabric, and in many ways that's a good thing. But, you know, you played in the Saskatchewan Junior League, you've played in the Humboldt Arena, and you spend hours on bus trips, okay? I know that. And, you know, I got to be honest, as a parent, never crossed my mind.
And if you think back, I think back to that time in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, playing for the Lloydminster Lancers. You know, it was 11 hours between Lloydminster and Minot, and you know, with stops along the way for lunch. It was 4 hours to Nipawin. It was 8 to Flin Flon, and it was very similar for those boys in Humboldt. And this was a time that, looking back, you look at the time on the buses. You know, at the time you're saying, my goodness, it's taking us a long time to get there. But looking back, so many fond memories. It was your sanctuary where you got to talk to other kids who'd grown up in other communities to understand a little bit more about their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations. Of course, a lot of fooling around, which is what you got.
All good. And I think probably looking back, it really didn't matter a lot whether you won or you lost. It's like the important thing was you were playing the game. Nothing beats playing.
And I think that means you as a parent, you enjoyed watching me play, you enjoy watching the kids play because you get to live through them as sort of the memories of your childhood.
And you can know, of course, that I was pretty much involved. You know, for 6 years I coached, okay? And I got to be honest, I remember the wins. But as you and I both know, we spend a lot of time talking about the losses. And now we laugh about it because it's just part of the fabric of life.
I submit that I've learned much more from things I haven't done well with, losses I've suffered, situations I've been in where you haven't done as well as you expected or hoped to do. to build your life going forward. And that's what hockey has been. And, you know, thinking more about the community of Humboldt. You know, when I was in Lloydminster, the team is the fabric of the community. So you have Humboldt now who's hurting, going through a difficult time. And of course, we all have them in our hearts and in our thoughts and in our actions right now. But they're going to have to continue to rebuild as well. And this will be a lasting mark
This will
on
be
them.
a lasting mark, a lasting memory. And of course, this is a tragedy. There is no other way to describe it. 16
Yeah.
young boys, the trainer, a woman. That's happened, and that's the reality. The thing is, though, for those people who knew them, life will go on, and the memories, hopefully, there's never enough, but clearly they are part of it.
And you've said this to me when I had my spinal cord injury when I was 21 years old. You know, clearly that had an impact on our family, on the dynamic, on what we envisioned for the future. And in fact, when it happened, we frankly didn't know what to expect from the future. And yet, you have always said that no matter how bad things got, you understood you still had your son. You know, and in this case, we grieve for the parents who don't have that tangible. They're not going to see some things like a graduation from university and other things, which is tremendously difficult. And you understand as a parent the difficulty that must be.
Oh, it's heart-wrenching, it's heartbreaking, and really there are no words that can make up for their tremendous loss. You can only tell them, your heart goes out to them, and in any way possible, we are going to be supportive. But at the end of the day, this is a lonely route to travel, and really can't say much more.
Yeah, there's obviously an Alberta connection. Many kids here who played for Humboldt, as I played in the Saskatchewan Junior League. Of course, some of the young men went over there, and a couple of, you know, you look at the actions of Logan Boulette, who signed his Oregon donor card. You know, clearly a kid who put others first to be filling out that form so others could share the gifts of life. Very proud of that, but the Lethbridge community clearly hurting. Of course, we have Ryan Stesniski here in Alberta from Airdrie, just a hop, skip, and a jump down the road,
Yeah.
who has a spinal cord injury. You know, it's going to take a lot for that community to rebuild, and that Ryan to rebuild, and they, you know, he's facing it bravely and boldly right now.
And of course, you know, Ken, it's not just Ryan who faces that challenge, the family, okay? And that's, you know what, I'm sure that they will deal with it head on in a positive and progressive manner. But those days are difficult. You know that. You know that. We know that. But clearly the beautiful thing is, as you've said, Ryan's still alive.
Yeah, and I think that brings us to I liked your analogy. Canada is one big hockey rink filled with dreamers and people trying to accomplish that
Arena
dream,
of dreams.
trying to make it to whatever their aspirations are. And I think that's a great segue. We were talking. You know, I know you're a big fan of Tom Cochrane,
Yes, I am.
the troubadour.
Exactly.
Okay, you want to tell that story?
Well, you know, of course, from his song Big League, and of course, if you take a look at the full lyrics to Big League, it is eerily similar to what actually happened. But the poignant lines, the pride of a parent as they watch their son do the best they can. And of course, nowadays it's even going further, because we've got Haley Wickenheiser who blazed the trail for women and young girls. But the same thing, you know, the lines of the chorus of that, my boy's gonna play in the big leagues. My boy's gonna turn some heads. My boy's gonna play in the big leagues. my boys, gonna knock 'em dead. Just so cognizant of the feelings that float through parents from time to time when they see their children going down the ice, splitting the defense, and putting it up where Grandma keeps the peanut butter, eh? You know what I mean? Just gorgeous stuff, which is the Canadian dream.
A couple things I'd like to say to everyone who helped me through my hockey career, whether that be in the Hazard on the rink there, or whether in Calgary, whether it's playing junior hockey, to my billets, Brian and Brenda Thomas and Lloydminster and other places that were there, and the different communities around this country who help shepherd the spirit of Canada through the game of hockey, or frankly, through almost all sports, that reaching out and giving back to your community. I want to thank you for your impact on my life, as well as your impact on the fabric of your communities. It truly means a lot. I think in conclusion, I know tomorrow night we as a family, you, Mom, myself, are going to go to the rally for Ryan Stesniewski out in Airdrie. We were talking about it earlier, who's had a spinal cord injury. This is Friday night, April 13th, and it starts at 8:30 p.m. And it is at the, let me see if I can figure this, the Chinook Winds Park in Airdrie, Alberta. It's the outdoor rink, and we hope to see you all there. That's the Rally for Ryan. Take a look at it. It should be a good rally for us to support a young man who's going through a lot, who really...
Looking forward to it,
yes.
Absolutely.
You go from there. Hey, thank you so much. Take care. All the best.